Okay, so welcome back. Tonight we're going to do something I started to do last time. I started to do radio buttons, radio inputs for the modal. And then I stopped because that's not what I said I was going to do. I said I was going to do the strength, the power stats. So like, no. One that has multiple Batman. Okay. So Batman has multiple results, and for some reason it takes a long time to do the first one, but then after that first one it happens really quickly, so that's kind of interesting. But yeah, so we have two different Batmans here. Now this does not look good. I had to think about the design and what I wanted the design to look like. In fact, I just have a footer here that's just nothing. I need to get rid of that footer, or I could put the submit button there, I suppose. Yeah, that would be good. But anyway, so I choose one, and then I get Batman. That is an interesting picture. And then you get his power stats. So he is, oh, you know what? I just realized I did not put what each one of these is, so you don't know what he's 100% on. I think it's combat and intelligence, possibly? Combat and intelligence? Because it doesn't have any superpowers. But yeah, I need to put that label next to each one, otherwise it's just a bunch of lines with numbers. Actually, why don't I do that right now? So, just so I don't forget. Character card, here we go. This is the progress bar. And before the progress bar, I want to have I just want to have, I guess, whatever it is, character info, power stats, well, what am I going to call it here? Command. So here's the character info. Yeah, I'm gonna have to say get the key basically, because it's, oh no, power stats, no. Yeah, the keys. I need the keys here. The name of the keys to be displayed. So I have power stats, power. Oh right, I was gonna rename this because that's very confusing. Yeah, that's very confusing. I'm going to rename that quick. You know why? The reason that's confusing is because power is actually one of the qualities here. So, yeah, that's kind of confusing. I'll just call it qualities. What qualities do you look for in a superhero anyway? Oh, wait, no, not plural, though. Oh, I'll get into the swing of things. Here we go. Quality. There we go. There, quality. There. Now I won't confuse that with power, which is one of the qualities. And then what I want is to get the qualities themselves. So character info dot power stats keys. See, I already have it here though. Power stats. Can I just display? Just a second here. No. Oh my goodness. Yeah, coding in the evening is always dicey. I say this every time. Like, I'm not a night person. I'm definitely not a night person. Oh no, powers is what I want. Powers. Okay. I want to see what that is. Let's just do Hulk, because he doesn't have any multiple options going on here. So powers, right. So I want to map powers next to this. but I'm doing powers.map here. I'm doing powers.map. Oh, so it's just power, right? Wouldn't that be what it is? Let's give that a try. For some reason, I'm thinking that's not going to work, but I don't know. I did a lot of refactoring on my app for work today, and it was a lot of refactoring. And refactoring is hard because you've got it working, and you have to go back and refactor so that you just don't break the whole thing. And it was... And I didn't. It still works. It works, and it's much cleaner, and everything's good. But man, there was a lot of refactoring. Yeah, I don't know what. No, yeah. See, the problem with that is that I want it to be a string. And powers. Oh wait. Oh no, powers. Yeah, it's powers.map. Oh, quality. Sorry, it's not power anymore. It's not power anymore. Okay, there's no error at least. There we go. Do I want it to be next to it? Probably want it to be next to it instead of above it like that. And to do that, all I have to do is, oh, actually I just have to make this div into display flex. There we go. Ooh, that's not what we want. I mean, it's still showing the correct proportions. It's just so teeny weeny. It's just so tiny. Let's make it 100% of the parent element. See what that does. Whoa, that didn't do it. Oh my goodness. Uh-oh. The other thing I could do here, just a minute. I am using React Bootstrap. So I could make this into a row. Yep, row is imported. That's good. So instead of doing Flexbox, it's automatically, I mean, you get Flexbox in here. Okay, so that's correct. That's correct. It's just not what I want. Excuse me. Now I could make each of these into another column, but let me just quick do the elements, see what's happening here. This and this. I want the progress bar to be, it was taking up the whole space before I added that. Hello. Oh man, yep, so it was taking up the whole row before I added the quality, I called it. I think there's a different characteristic, I suppose, or I'm not gonna, quality is just fine, quality's fine. Can't get too nitpicky about these things. And then another thing is this. Oh man, you know what? Oh, that's why, because that's a single column. I see. So my question is, if this is a single column and these are part of this column, okay, see, that won't work because it needs a single JSX element to be its parent, I suppose, is why that is happening. Oh, whoops. I broke it. I broke it. It was looking kind of nice, and now it's not looking kind of nice. Okay, so I'm gonna look at React Bootstrap here and say layout. Shouldn't it be the full width? Yeah, it should be the full width. A row should take the full width of the parent, I believe. So I'm not sure why. It's squishing like that, unless there's something different about the, right, because I suppose the progress bar doesn't have its own width, like this text has its own width, auto or whatever it is, but the progress bar does not. So that's the question, is not how the row behaves, but how the progress bar behaves, I think. So that's the question. How do you set the size of the progress bar? Do you have to do you have to hard code in the width, I wonder? Which, wouldn't be a problem, I suppose, but before I had it in its own div. Oh, I have to search every time. Of course, because it refreshes. At least Hulk is really easy to type. Okay, and then for that, I can do... If I just hard code in how big I want it, okay, so that would do that. Now I'm thinking I want 2 columns though, because that doesn't look the best. So I could make this into a column. And this into a column. In which case I wouldn't use a width, I would just set a width. I don't think I would need that div. Let's see if I don't. Let's see if I don't. Comment it out for now. Because you can set the size. How do you set the size again? How do you do this again? You set the size with, okay, you can do extra small, 5, you can do center, large 2, right. So you say what size you want and how much. It's a 12 something grid system, 12 something grid system, so what percentage of 12, I suppose in this row, in this row there would be 12, which is interesting because this row is pretty much half the screen. So let's just see what happens if I do 6 here. Oh, I gotta type it in again, of course. Right, there we go. So it took up half because I put in 6. So anyway, I'm not going to tweak this too much because I was going to save styling for the end. I just want to be able to see it though. It's supposed to be a little change, not a humongous change that I did. Oh, and I should probably say power stats up there too. Secret identity, and here I'm going to have power stats. There. Now that should look a little nicer. A little nicer, just getting all the info displayed. Okay. What was I going to do again? Oh yeah, the modal. I was going to do the radio buttons on the modal. And the radio inputs, are just like any other input. I did a little review. I'm like, oh yeah. Just like this search bar, you have a form, you have the handle change, you have the handle submit for the form, and you keep in state what the current input is. So it's the exact same format for the radio inputs. It's just a little funny because I'm mapping it, right? So I'm mapping it, so I'm gonna have to do a little magical stuff to see, because I'm mapping. Oh wait, here it is. I commented out what I started to do. Oh right, and here's a button as well. So that can be my. Well, that could. No, I'm just taking out the modal footer. We don't need that footer in there. That looks kind of weird in there. Okay. But I will need a button for the form. So here's my form I started making. Okay, now I'll comment this guy out instead. I have the type checked, which is going to be true or false pretty soon. In order to set that to true or false, I'm going to have to use some state up here. Actually, there's a great article I found, how to do radio buttons in React 16. It's called, very simple. And this is exactly what we're doing. See, 3 different options, and you select and you save. And I mean, basically, you make the form with type, name, value, checked, class name. Blah, 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 go down. And then you have in state which selected option you have. And you know, I wanted to point out that this is a really good reason to learn class components first when you learn React. I thought about, you know, someone learning React right now, would they have to learn it, or could they just learn React hooks? And really, a lot of the articles, a lot of the docs, and all these things I find have class components as the examples. Plus a lot of code, legacy code or whatever code base you're going to be working with is going to have class components too. They're far from gone. So like if I hadn't worked with class components before and I looked at this, I'd be like, what the heck are they doing? But because I did, I can translate that into hooks in my mind, like, oh, okay, I'm going to set state, whatever. So that's important to know, class components, even if you never use them. Yeah, so then you have the selected option equals, and then whatever option 1 is. I think I'm going to make this the ID, because that's what I use. I can just use this handle select function that I created before as my submit. And this same little fun little find eTarget ID. So it'll be the eTarget ID I'm still using, because what it is going to be is value, and it's going to be character.id, correct? Correct. Right. Because it's going to be the character list, and the item will be the character, and if the character ID equals the eTarget ID, which will be this character's ID, then that will then be the chosen one. And set show false. Is that still what I want? Yeah, because it's a modal. Right. Good. But I will say handle submit here, and this will be on submit. I'm going to do. I know in the example they didn't have that, I don't think. Let me just go straight to the bottom and see if, yeah, form on submit, handle submit, right. And then the button, I assume, where's the button? Yeah, button is going to be type submit. Yep. So same dealio. Same dealio. Now the button is going to be below this because I don't want to have a button for each character. So let me just put in that button here. I'm getting a little scattered here, aren't I? Submit. Okay, type is going to be submit. And I don't think, yeah, you don't have to have an on click if it's a submit button. It's just smart like that. It knows what to do. It just submits the form. So that's going to be handle submit. Okay, so what I started doing something up here. Oh yeah, I just jump around. Oh my goodness, I really do. I'm a multitasker. I'm a mother of 4 kids. I'm a compulsive multitasker. I just jump from one thing to the next. This is what I do. Not necessarily best practice, but that's okay. Okay, and then checked. Oh right, I was gonna make some state up here. Right. So it's going to be selected character, or I'll just say selected item. That's just shorter. Set selected item. Use state. And I don't have use state imported yet, so I better do that. The other thing, if you're too lazy to import useState, or you're just going to use it once, is you could do react.useState, but that's okay. All right, right now I don't have an initial state declared yet. I suppose I could have an initial state if I wanted character list, like the first one to be chosen. Sure, why not? Character list, have the first one showing up as selected here initially. Okay, whoops, it's having, well, I'm not going to check the error until I'm done doing stuff because I'm probably just going to fix it myself, hopefully. Let's see here. So I set that, and then here, checked. So if, so basically if, oh wait. Oh, wait a minute. If I have this in state, don't I just use this in here? Don't I just use selected item in here instead of eTarget ID? Const handle select. Well, let's just say handle change so I don't confuse myself. I see. Yeah, because here's where I use. Oh, and I need to prevent default again. Remember from before? That's important. I'm going to use this little cheat sheet. I always like finding a cheat sheet, which is probably why I don't remember things very much, because I am just too good at just looking things up and following along. Right, so here's the event, and then you set state to whatever the eTarget value is. So that's kind of what I was going to do. Oh yeah, and then when you submit, you want to prevent default, and then do whatever you want to do, right? So I'm on the right track here. Set selected item to eTarget value. So that's good. I don't think I want this guy in here because eTarget, whoops. Oh, right. Not eTarget ID, eTarget value. Yeah. Here I have eTarget ID. But since I'm making the ID into the selected item, then so if I wanted to do, now I'm just changing these. So if I wanted to do this, have this, I would have to do character list 0.id is what I would need to do, not the whole object. So that should be okay. But then for the submit, I think all I need is the selected option. Yeah, I just need selected item to go in here instead of target ID. Whoops. So there is a little difference from what I had before. All right, should that be it? Oh no, I didn't put checked. I didn't put checked. So if selected item whoops, equals, if selected item equals character ID, then it should be selected. All right, I think that should work. Let's see. I don't think I have an error. Nope, just handle change is assigned but never used. Oh, right. Right, so I haven't done handle change. On change, there we go. That's what I need. On change, handle change. Now it's used. Yay. All right, now let's try it. Let's not try it. Oh. Delete my errors instead of fixing them. That's how I do it. That's how you do it. Oh wait, I don't want Hulk. I want someone who has Batman. All right, so we got two guys. Let's choose one. Let's choose Terry McGinnis this time. Okay, not doing anything. Handle submit. Button type submit. Oh, wait a minute. That is not in my form. That's the problem. Oh, it's not in my form. I need but I don't want my form inside the map, so I want my form. I wonder if this will work outside my map here. Because that does need to be inside, that button needs to be inside the form. Okay. That should, let's see if that did it. Okay, let's try this guy again. There we go. Now we have radio inputs for our modal. Yay. And I think with that, we have got a working app. This is the MVP I was talking about. React is so different from normal object-oriented languages that I feel like a complete newbie every time I watch these. What do you usually code in? What language are you used to? Yeah, it's a functional programming language, but it has a lot of object-oriented features, or I mean, it masquerades as object-oriented sometimes. I actually started learning Java. I picked up, when I first thought I might be interested in programming, I picked up a book from the library called Java for Dummies. And it is an excellent book, and I started to get hooked. It wasn't very good timing for me to start learning then, but about a year later, 2 years later, I came back and but I went with web development or like JavaScript and stuff instead. But anyway, but this is now a functional app. This is the MVP. It doesn't look good is the main problem. But everything works. It doesn't look good, but everything works. So that's what we want. That's the most important thing, is that it all works. I mean, first of all, I've got no padding up here. I mean, the fonts are just normal. The colors are all just primary blue. And then these two columns, like this guy's way over here and this guy's way over here. I'd like to center those in the columns. This doesn't look the greatest. It'd be nice to have like a different size, different font, something or other to, or yeah, maybe even having that underneath, like, and centered or something. Yeah, even having it underneath and centered, that might look nice too. But making things look nice is not really my forte. My designs tend to be very, very simple. So let's just look at some of my some of my projects to demonstrate how simple they are. Let's see. So for example, my calculator. Wow, so beautiful and fancy. It's just bare minimum, just very minimalist. What else have we got? Oh yeah, here we go. Here's just a little app. What's the object-oriented way to become wealthy? Inheritance. Very nice. And then I tried to be a little fancier by like adding emojis. That's an eye roller right there. But you know, still not fancy. I tried getting a little fancier with this one here. I tried copying some other websites that I really liked. See how it's all transparent and it has a nice background and the transparent header and everything. But you know what? It's still very simple. So you know what I want to do? Instead of going into styling and trying to make it look good myself, I will just say that for now I'm just done. And this is an open source GitHub repo. And so if anyone wants to like clone it and play around with it and or you know, even if you make changes that are super awesome and do a pull request or something, that would be great. So anyone who's really into styling and really into making things look good, go at it. That would be awesome. But this is episode 10, so I'm going to declare it done. It is a functional app. So there you go. Let me see. C-based languages, JavaScript, Objective-C, Java for Dummies is a great book, yes. Throw data from the form for other parts of the app to use. Redux or hooks, yeah. Refreshing seems to work within components. How to say, hey, unrelated component that is a modal and not a parent or child. Let me see if I understand your question. So I submit the info from the form. So yes, I'm very used to using Redux as a global state management tool. And then basically you can have local state and global state. So in this app, for example, you would still have this local state because no other components in the app cares what's in the input field. The other components only care about what you submit, right? So then whatever you submit is going to be the character info, and that basically, like in this app component, I would definitely have character info in the Redux store. I wouldn't have this here. I wouldn't put this just whether the modal is showing in the Redux store, I don't think, because no one really cares about that. Error or is loading, you can do that locally or globally. Like I've done it in the Redux store in a couple of my apps. In my current app, I'm just dealing with it locally. But yeah, it's oh, you're talking about the modal. Refreshing seems to work within components, but unsure how to say, hey, unrelated component that is a modal and not a parent or child. What does that mean? How do you get a modal to broadcast I changed to an unrelated component? The modal became a parent? Wait, selection modal. Yeah, no, the modal is not a parent. It's another child here. So here I've got all of these things are children of the parent app. I've got the modal, I've got the search bar, and I've got the character card. And those are all children of this app component, which is basically functioning as, it's like functioning like the Redux store right now, because it holds all of state and it's passing the state to the children, and the children are modifying state through this parent component. So basically I think the way it works is whenever props change in a React component, I believe it re-renders, because it does and that's one of the things about React. Right, the parent passes down the props to the children, right? And when you use Redux, the props, you use map state to props or map dispatch to props. So those become the props of whichever component you want, and then use the connect function to connect the component to the Redux store. So if I was doing Redux, for example, and I want, what's one that has a lot of state in it? Like this one. Set character info, character list, show, all this stuff. So like anything that says set here, that could be a dispatching an action, basically. And this would be part of state, and this would be part of state. So basically I would say, this is not gonna work, of course. I'm just gonna do it in comments. Map state to props, and then you just list whatever props, whatever items from state you want in there, and you also do map dispatch to props. I'm just doing total pseudocode here, and you map whatever actions this component wants to dispatch in there, and then you connect it. And obviously it's not going to autofill for me because I don't have Redux. This does not have Redux in it. Yeah, so it has no idea what I'm doing right now. And then you wrap this, and then anyway, these would all then become props that are passed down here. And if any of those change, like if any item in the Redux store changes, then the props change, then the component re-renders, which is nice, because when you use the connect function, that's basically using should component mount. So it only renders, it only re-renders if something changes. So that's very nice, functionality wise. Anyway, now we're getting into Redux stuff, but this is great. I use Redux. I'm a big fan of Redux. I gave a talk on Redux at a meetup once. It's actually on my YouTube channel. It's called My Friend Redux. But it helped me understand how things happen a lot more. Yes, so Redux does a lot. You need use effect to track re-rendering. If you don't, React won't re-render on state change. Right, because that's basically component did mount, right? You store state and you change it in Redux. That's right. Yep. So this is great. I know Redux is quite the how many there was a rant about how many computer science laws Redux breaks. How how is that? Oh my. Anyway, this is fun. This is fun. But I better go. I think I might take a little break after this and think about what I want to do next. This has been really fun doing a live React app from scratch. It was kind of nice. It had its ups and downs, and you know, figuring out how to use the API. I gotta do Spider-Man just because it's my favorite. There we go. Get to play with it now that I made it. Oh, I want Peter Parker. Woohoo! Yay! It works. Just gotta enjoy it a little bit. It was fine. It was good. Yay. Okay. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for coming.